Stefan, you going to the Autostadt, and you're picking a little bit of an older player here to see out your ranking.
Well, I suppose so. Yeah, actually, that's true. He turns 22 actually this month, so that's fair enough. But yeah, my last player
sneaks through the U21 barrier.
Yeah, and is admittedly probably not a player that anyone who watches the Bundesliga isn't aware of. And I suspect people who watch the Premier League will be aware of him very soon as well. But that's Wolfsburg defender Konstantinos Koulierakis, who, joined the Bundesliga not that long ago, joined Wolfsburg last year for 12 million euros, an absolute steal from Panathinaikos. And I think, not Panathinaikos, sorry, actually PAOK. I always get those two confused. And the Greek side. And I think, Manu, we might be looking at a player who could be the next Josko Gvardiol. That's the player that he reminds me of when I watch him play. He's a big, big guy. He reminds me of, remember Socrates, the Greek defender, who was just this absolute kind of mountain of a man. Just rock hard. You couldn't get past him.
When he was at his best, he was one of the best defenders in European football.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
And so, he has that kind of, obviously, gritty determination as a central defender. But he's also fantastically gifted at going forward. He's great at dribbling. His passing's exquisite. And what's really interesting is that even as a young player in Greek football, his stats for dribbling were just through the roof, to be honest with you, in terms of, certainly compared to other central defenders, but his passing, his forward passing. And he's just kind of carried that on to playing for Wolfsburg in the Bundesliga. Now, he's not playing for a great team. He's not playing for a team that are very good at creating chances, scoring goals, winning games. But he stands out like a sore thumb, I think, or sticks out like a sore thumb rather, because he is so exceptional. Alongside excellent defensive stats, he's also top of the team for passes into the final third. He's top of the team for the most dribbles in the team in terms of I guess if you're talking about NFL, ran the most yards with the ball, whatever the kind of football equivalent that is. And I think that just speaks to the fact that he's an exceptional defender, but he's also exceptional going forward. And that was the thing that always really stood out to me about Josko Gvardiol, who, when he was at Leipzig, reminded me of Virgil van Dijk, because Van Dijk was obviously an outstanding defender, but just kind of strolled down the pitch, and we've seen Gvardiol do that very well. Now, I've seen a lot of comparisons actually to Mickey van de Ven, obviously because a former Wolfsburg player, and, Koulierakis is already getting linked with moves to Tottenham and Liverpool, and I wouldn't be surprised if he does move very soon, because we did a whole show on Wolfsburg and how they're falling apart. So he might be looking for his first kind of ticket on the ICE to Berlin to get on the flight out of there. But
well, he's not going to get far if he flies out of Berlin.
Come on, I thought we agreed the new airport was pretty nice.
The airport is nice, it just doesn't have good connections.
Oh, okay, yeah, fair enough. Well, he can get a connection to Amsterdam and then go wherever he wants from there. But yeah, I think he's a really, really outstanding player. Okay, maybe at 22, he's not a young talent, he's not an academy player, but he's a player that we don't really know a huge amount about in German football. He's only just kind of came into German football, and I think 3 or 4 years' time, we'll be talking about him as one of the best kind of exciting, in fact, we might already be doing it, as one of the most exciting central defenders in European football. So if you don't know about him, if you don't watch Wolfsburg, stick one of their games on when you get a chance. They'll probably lose, but you'll get to see him in action. And do you know what? That's a good thing of being a defender. If you play for a crap team, is good education.
Yeah, it is. There's a few examples like that, right? No, I think this is a really good shout, and he's a name that isn't on anyone's radar yet, right? And I think a bunch of teams really wanted him when he was signed by Wolfsburg. Yeah, outstanding player. Not much I can add. The thing that I find interesting, he's part of a very interesting young group of Greek players currently coming through, right? There's the kid from Nuremberg that went to the Premier League, and a bunch of other young players. Greece is looking at a really good talent pool at the moment, and he could be definitely one of the leading faces of that. So definitely a name to remember.